Hi, Stephen Lee Benson here. It's Friday the 13th, September 2019. And so a lot of people are going, well, 9/11 happened. It's the 18th anniversary of 9/11 and people are upset. We have to ask ourselves, can the government really protect us? Everybody's talking about mass shooters and all that. We need to take away guns, and we need to take away this and that, and all that kind of wonderful, funny stuff. But seriously, is that really going to help? Is that going to help the American people? On 9/11, people didn't use a scary black military style assault weapon. They used three of our planes, and they used box cutters. Are we going to outlaw box cutters because of that? I want people to start doing critical thinking instead of embracing critical theory. That's what I want out of our society. Beto O'Rourke is a gun-grabbing, commie individual. That's what he is. People don't even realize it. National registration for firearms? Why? This is what I'm talking about. Quit allowing Big Daddy government to be so far up into your business. And here's the irony. They're the ones that created this issue. In the 1950s and 60s, they allowed all the mentally unstable people out of the institutions. They deinstitutionalized mental health facilities. This is what I'm trying to get across to people. There's so much antidepressants, Ritalin, all kinds of stuff that has adverse side effects. And if people aren't taking their medication, they go off the rails. They go grab a gun. They do all kinds of stuff. So to sit there and go, well, we need to take away firearms. No, you don't. You need to take responsibility for the screw up you did in the 1950s and 60s. I mean, for Christ's sakes, the University of Texas sniper shooter didn't use a scary AR-15 assault rifle. No, he used an M1 carbine rifle. That was, I believe it's a 30 caliber. So anybody that's a gun aficionado, please correct me if I'm wrong. But once again, when they did the autopsy, there was a growth on his brain. Same thing with all these active shooters. They were on some kind of medication. They were on some type of drugs. They were on something. Nobody wants to talk about the human brain, the human psyche, the human element there. Let's just blame an inanimate object. Blaming inanimate objects is ridiculous. You can place an AR-15 fully loaded with a 30-round magazine with all the add-ons that you want, leave it on a table for 30 years, and if nobody touches it, it's not a threat. Once again, I say this with conviction, because it takes a human with a brain to make an AR go bang bang. And if that brain is insane, there's going to be a lot of danger and a lot of damage to society. And I hope that's food for thought. Really, I seriously do. We need to start waking up. And I'm not trying to bash the government, but if the government dropped the ball this severely, allowed the CIA back in the 70s and 80s pump so much cocaine in the inner cities, shouldn't that tell us something? Our own government officials did not know what the CIA was doing and failed to do anything about it because nothing came about it. Maxine Waters testified, nothing ever took place. And so we have 9/11. 9/11 takes place. How are we really secure? We're not. It takes us to be secure. It takes us taking the responsibility for our own safety and security. See, continuity of government, that's what they're going to focus on. The government's going to focus on continuity of government. We need to worry about continuity of American society. We don't want to think about that because we don't want to take that responsibility because of cognitive dissonance. We don't want to go, and it's from the left to the right. It doesn't matter. You don't want to recognize our government screwed up. Our government dropped the ball. Our government, with all its foreign policies, have failed. Nation building, interfering. Same thing with the Soviet Union back in the day. They interfered. They did all this toppling and propping up regimes. We need to think about this. And we need to think about this very, very critically. Critical thinking. Embrace it. Live it. Understand it. Instead of this critical theory of, well, it could be this and it could be that. It's all in how you interpret it. No. Facts are facts. Logic is logic. And this isn't to bash our American government and our American way of life. I'm just being critical through my observations. It's not emotional. It's just it's fact. And these politicians up there on stage, on the Democrat debating stage, oh, I'm going to take away the guns, and I'm going to... What is that going to do? People are just going to find another way. Take a look at Timothy McVeigh. He used a Ryder truck. Are you going to outlaw Ryder trucks? Are you going to outlaw box cutters? TSA, they do test quite often, and quite often TSA misses stuff. So are you really safe getting on that plane? Not really. Are you safe driving? No, not really. But it takes you to take those steps to be safe, to take the initiative, instead of allowing and depending on, Uncle Sam to take care of you and secure you and make sure, you're fed and safe and secured and in a in a safe little safe bubble, because God forbid we actually take responsibility for our actions and the outcome of our actions. And we don't want to do that. And politicians don't really want you to do that. Yet they pay lip service to say, oh, I'm for your gun rights. I'm for your gun rights. But you notice the Republicans are doing the same thing. They're ready to sign off on the red flag laws. How about institutionalizing people that don't need to be in society? Like the Odessa shooter. The Odessa shooter applied for a gun, for a rifle, was denied due to psychological impairment. Why wasn't that a red flag? Why wasn't law enforcement knocking on that guy's door and Mr. Psychiatrist right around the corner ready to, go into a full diagnosis? They don't talk about that, do they? They're because they're not going to talk about that. Because it's easy to talk about a scary AR-15 and get people so emotionalized over it that they want to hand over the rights. And that's fine. But it's not fine for me. That might be good for you. You might want to live in a nice little safe space bubble as much as you want, but not me. I'm going to defend mine, and because I worked too hard for it. I may not have much, but what I do have, I want to keep. And a lot of people can relate to that. So when y'all are all going, oh, we need common sense gun control. No, we need the government to take responsibility for what has happened in the last few decades and quit taking away our right to protect ourselves. Because this is what has taken place. All this is an accumulation of decades from the 1950s and 60s to now. We are dealing with the fallout of all this, and the American people get suckered in due to propaganda and manipulation that, oh yeah, well, we're the government, we're going to take care of you, we're going to help you. Really? Like you help the veterans? Really, the veterans that come from wars. In Vietnam, you had service members coming back from Vietnam being spit on, that couldn't get decent health care. And you people really want Uncle Sam to be taking care of your health care? They can't even take care of their own soldiers. Give me a break. You got to go through so much paperwork, then they end up losing your paperwork, then you end up having to resend it and resend it and resend it. It's all a game. That's what they want to do. They want to frustrate you to the point where you just give up and say, to hell with it. And that's what they like doing. And I know I'm on my soapbox with all kinds of things this morning, but it is a little irritating because people need to see the whole picture all together, not little bits and pieces. And that's what's wrong with our society. We don't want to look at the picture in all totality. And so this is what's taking place. So if the government can't even handle its own fair share of responsibilities, you want them to have responsibility for your safety, take away your gun rights, take away your rights little by little by little. That's you, but that's not going to be me. Out of my cold dead hand. Simple. You're not taking away what I purchased. You're not going to take away what I've worked so hard for. This is anti-capitalistic. This is like pro-communist, Soviet Union. Whether you want to call it Soviet, doesn't matter what you call it. Fascist, Nazi fascist, or basically altogether it's totalitarianism. And that's what these parasite politicians want. They want to control you. They want to brainwash you into their way of thinking. Because it's not gun violence, it's human violence. No matter what weapon it is, it's human violence. And what causes human violence? It starts from the mental mindset. Quit being duped, people. Think outside the box, read a book, go on YouTube, watch, listen, learn, and grow. And with that being said, if y'all like this material, please like, subscribe, share, and share like crazy. And if you really love this stuff that I'm doing, then please, for the love of God, because it would be very, very helpful and very, very appreciative if you donate to my Patreon account. That would be so awesome, cool, and I would give you some recognition and some props. So with that being said, have a great day, take care of one another, and be safe. Thanks.